It was long past midnight. The massive central bus terminal of Los Angeles, usually a chaotic hub of arrivals and departures, had sunk into a weary, echoing quiet. The bright neon glow from shuttered food stands reflected wetly on the polished linoleum floors. Outside, a persistent drizzle slicked the empty streets. Only the hum of ventilation systems, the occasional distant rumble of a departing bus, or the lonely footsteps of scattered travelers broke the silence. But this quiet wasn't peaceful. It felt heavy with the transient anxieties of 1,000 journeys paused, a place where vulnerability lingered in the air. In the midst of this desolate atmosphere, sitting on one of the hard plastic benches in the main waiting hall's dimmest, furthest corner, was Keanu Reeves. Perhaps he'd just arrived on a late flight. Maybe he was waiting for an early morning connection. His reasons remained ambiguous. As usual, he was attempting anonymity. A dark, worn beanie pulled low, sunglasses still on, despite the late hour, a loose-fitting hoodie, comfortable jeans, sturdy boots, the uniform of someone trying not to be seen. A cold, half-finished cup of vending machine coffee sat on the floor beside him. His gaze drifted across the cavernous space, observing the few other souls sharing this late-hour limbo. A tired cleaner pushing a mop, a couple of backpackers dozing fitfully, a man muttering to himself near the restrooms. The usual tapestry of late-night transit. Keanu found a strange solace in these moments, watching the unfiltered fragments of human life unfold when people thought no one important was looking. It was then he noticed her, across the wide hall, near the large flickering departure board. A young girl, maybe 14 years old, walking with a hesitant but determined gait. She wore clothes that were practical but clearly worn and inexpensive. A slightly oversized hooded sweatshirt, skinny jeans, scuffed sneakers. On her back, she carried an old large backpack that seemed too big for her small frame. Her face was pale with exhaustion and anxiety, her eyes constantly scanning the surroundings, darting towards the entrances and exits, as if expecting someone, or fearing someone. This was Chloe. Chloe stopped in front of the massive departure board displaying routes to cities across the country. She seemed confused, tracing lines with her finger, comparing destinations to something clutched in her hand. She dug into her pocket, pulled out a small crumpled wad of dollar bills, counted them slowly, then looked back at the board, her shoulders slumping slightly in visible disappointment and frustration. Keanu watched her, a familiar pang of protective concern stirring within him. She was clearly alone, clearly troubled, and far too young to be navigating this place at this hour by herself. He continued to observe, not wanting to startle her, trying to understand her situation before approaching. After failing to find what she was looking for on the board, Chloe walked slowly back towards the waiting area. She chose a bench several rows away from Keanu, again in a poorly lit corner. She pulled her backpack tightly onto her lap, hugged it close, rested her forehead on it, and pulled her hood further down, trying to disappear. Her shoulders began to shake almost imperceptibly. Keanu knew he couldn't just sit there anymore. He waited another moment, then quietly stood up and walked towards her row. He didn't sit right next to her, but left an empty seat between them, giving her space. She flinched as he sat down, pulling her backpack even closer, turning her body slightly away from him. "Hey," Keanu said softly, his voice gentle, non-threatening. "Looks like you're having a tough night. Are you okay?" Chloe didn't answer, keeping her face hidden. "Don't be scared," Keanu continued in the same calm tone. "I don't mean any harm. You look like you might need some help. Is everything all right?" Still silence. Keanu understood her fear, her distrust. He decided to wait. "I'm waiting for a connection myself," he offered casually after a minute. "These places can feel pretty lonely late at night." Finally, Chloe lifted her head slightly, peering at him from under her hood. Her eyes were red-rimmed, wary. "Please leave me alone," she whispered, her voice trembling. Keanu nodded immediately. "Okay, I won't bother you, but if you change your mind or if you need anything at all, I'll just be sitting over there." He gestured back towards his original seat. He didn't move away immediately, just gave her a reassuring look before quietly returning to his spot, keeping a subtle, protective watch from a distance. He wanted her to know she wasn't entirely alone, that at least one person saw her, About 10 minutes later, a soft, muffled meow came from Chloe's backpack. She instantly stiffened, frantically unzipping it just a crack and whispering inside, "Shh, quiet, Jasper. Please be quiet." Keanu heard it clearly this time. A kitten inside the backpack? The situation became even more puzzling and concerning. He stood up again and slowly walked back towards her bench, sitting one seat away as before. "You have a travel companion in there?" he asked gently. Chloe froze, looking caught and terrified. She looked like she was about to deny it, but then resignation washed over her face, and she nodded miserably. He's Jasper. My kitten." Keanu kept his voice soft. "Why is he in the backpack?" Tears welled up in Chloe's eyes again, and this time the dam broke. The story tumbled out. She told him about losing both her parents in a sudden car accident just over a year ago. With no other close relatives, social services had placed her with a reluctant, distant uncle she barely knew. She described the uncle's house as cold, unwelcoming, how she felt like a burden, an unwanted guest. Her uncle was indifferent at best, sometimes openly hostile, complaining about the cost of keeping her. Jasper, she explained, her voice thick with emotion, stroking the backpack gently, was the last gift my mom and dad gave me. We found him just a few weeks before the accident, tiny, abandoned. Mom said he was our little miracle. She paused, swallowing hard. He's the only living thing I have left that connects me to them, the only one who remembers them with me. But my uncle, he hates animals, calls Jasper a pest, a waste of money. He's always threatening to get rid of him. Last night, Chloe continued, tears streaming freely now, he came home angry, said he was taking Jasper to the pound first thing in the morning. Said I was old enough to stop clinging to a stupid cat. I couldn't let him. I just couldn't. So, this morning after he left for work, I packed my bag, put Jasper inside, took the little money I had saved, and I left. I ran away. Keanu listened silently, his heart aching for the young girl, a 14-year-old orphan, alone in a bus station at night with her cat in a backpack, running from neglect. "Where were you trying to go, Chloe?" he asked gently, having learned her name during her story. Chloe sniffled, wiping her eyes. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded, yellowed piece of paper. "My mom, she left this letter with her things," she said, handing it to Keanu. "It's for her childhood best friend, Clara. She lives in Portland, I think. Mom always said if anything ever happened, Clara would help me. But the address isn't complete, and I don't know if the phone number is still good. I was hoping maybe I could find enough money for a bus ticket there." Keanu took the letter. It was written in faded ink, filled with loving words between old friends. But as Chloe said, the contact information was incomplete. Just a name, Clara Dubois, a city, Portland, and an old, possibly disconnected phone number. It felt like searching for a needle in a haystack, but it was her only hope. "Okay," Keanu said, his voice filled with a resolve Chloe hadn't heard before. "Let's get Jasper out of that bag for some air first. Then we'll figure out how to find Clara." Chloe cautiously opened her backpack fully. A small, slightly scruffy tabby kitten poked its head out, looking around nervously before nuzzling against Chloe's hand. "Jasper," Chloe whispered. Keanu smiled. "Hey there, Jasper." The kitten regarded him with wide, curious eyes. Keanu went to the nearly deserted cafe counter within the station, managed to buy a small carton of milk, and asked for a disposable bowl. He brought it back, pouring a little milk for the kitten, who drank gratefully. "All right, Chloe," Keanu said, pulling out his own phone again. "Let's see what we can find about Clara Dubois in Portland. Your mom mentioned she might be involved in art? Maybe owned a gallery or studio?" Chloe nodded. "Yes, I think Mom said she painted." Keanu used these keywords, searching online databases, social media, art community listings. Several possibilities came up, but none were a definite match. This required more than a simple web search. He made another discreet call, this time to a private investigator his production company sometimes used for sensitive research, someone known for finding people quietly and quickly. He explained the situation: orphan girl, deceased mother's letter, partial contact info for Clara Dubois, artist, gallery owner in Portland, urgent need to verify identity and willingness to help. This is extremely time-sensitive and confidential, Keanu stressed. The girl is in a vulnerable situation. I need confirmation if this Clara is the right person and if she's able and willing to take Chloe in. No mention of my involvement. The investigator promised to prioritize it. Now, they had to wait again. The bus station waiting room was not a safe or comfortable place, especially for a young girl and a kitten. Dawn was still hours away. "Come on, Chloe," Keanu said, making a decision. "We can't stay here all night." Chloe looked alarmed. "Where are we going?" "Don't worry," Keanu reassured her. "I know a safe place nearby where you and Jasper can rest while we wait for news about Clara." He led her out of the station, discreetly signaling to a car service he'd called while talking to the investigator. He took them to a quiet, respectable 24-hour hotel not far away. Using a secure booking method under a different name, he got them a clean, comfortable room. He made sure Chloe understood how to lock the door and ordered room service. Proper food for her, and some appropriate items for the kitten he asked the hotel staff to discreetly source. "Get some rest, Chloe," he said before leaving her in the room. "I'll be nearby. Call me on this room phone if you need anything." He gave her the number to his temporary, untraceable phone. Keanu took an adjacent room. He couldn't rest. He kept thinking about Chloe's situation, her bravery, the kitten. He checked in with the investigator periodically. Finally, close to dawn, the call came. They had found Clara Dubois. She owned a small, well-regarded art gallery in Portland. She had been devastated to learn of Chloe's mother's death, news she hadn't received, and was overjoyed and immensely relieved to hear Chloe was safe. She confirmed everything Chloe had said and was desperate to have Chloe come live with her immediately. She had no children of her own and had always considered Chloe's mother her sister. Keanu felt a wave of relief. He immediately went to Chloe's room and gently knocked. When she opened the door, looking sleepy but anxious, he gave her the news. "We found her, Chloe, Clara. She wants you to come live with her. She's waiting for you." Chloe stared at him, then burst into tears again, but this time they were tears of pure relief and joy. Keanu facilitated a phone call between Chloe and Clara. It was long, emotional, filled with shared memories of Chloe's mother, tears, and excited plans for the future. After the call, Chloe looked like a different person, the fear replaced by hopeful anticipation. "She really wants me," she beamed. "Okay," Keanu said. "Now, let's get you ready for your trip. First, a quick vet check for Jasper to make sure he's fit for travel." They found an early morning vet clinic. Thankfully, Jasper was mainly suffering from dehydration and stress, no serious underlying issues. The vet gave him fluids and declared him fit for travel with care. Next, Keanu took Chloe shopping. He bought her a new sturdy backpack, comfortable travel clothes, toiletries, some books and art supplies for the journey, and he said, and a proper airline-approved carrier for Jasper, along with food and supplies. Chloe was overwhelmed by his generosity, but also by the simple act of someone caring about her needs. Back at the bus station, now bustling with morning travelers, Keanu purchased Chloe's ticket to Portland. He made sure she had enough money for food and emergencies during the trip and confirmed Clara would meet her directly at the Portland station. He wrote down his private, but still discreet, contact number and Clara's confirmed number on a piece of paper for her. As the boarding call for the Portland bus echoed through the station, it was time to say goodbye. Chloe stood before Keanu, Jasper safely in the carrier at her feet. Her eyes were shining. I don't know how I can ever thank you, Keanu, she said, her voice thick with emotion. You didn't just help me, you saved us. Keanu smiled gently, placing a hand briefly on her shoulder. You saved yourselves, Chloe. You were incredibly brave to leave, to try and find help, to protect Jasper. I just helped with the logistics. He knelt slightly. You have so much strength inside you. Don't ever forget that. And don't hesitate to call if you need anything. Understand? Chloe nodded, tears spilling over again. Then impulsively, she threw her arms around him in a tight hug. Thank you, she whispered into his jacket. Keanu returned the hug gently. Safe travels, Chloe. Be good. He watched her board the bus, find a window seat and wave, her face alight with hope for the future. He waved back until the bus pulled away and disappeared into the city traffic. He stood there for a long moment amidst the station's noise, feeling a complex mix of emotions, relief certainly, satisfaction, but also a lingering sense of melancholy. He walked slowly back to where his own car service was waiting. As he drove away, he reflected on the past 24 hours. A chance encounter, a desperate plea, a hidden kitten, an old letter. It felt like something out of a movie, yet it was profoundly real. He thought about Chloe's resilience, born from loss and neglect. He thought about the invisible threads that connect people across time and distance, like the enduring friendship between Chloe's mother and Clara. He thought about the fragility of safety and the courage it takes to seek refuge. His own life, with its layers of security, fame, and resources, felt incredibly distant from the reality Chloe had been navigating just hours before. Yet for a brief time, their paths had crossed, and he had been able to offer a hand. It wasn't about grand gestures or public accolades. It was about seeing someone in need and choosing not to look away. It was about using the resources he had, not just money, but connections, time, and empathy, to facilitate a safe passage for a child in her last link to her past. That, he realized, felt more meaningful, more fundamentally real than almost anything else he did. The memory of Chloe's hopeful wave as the bus pulled away was a reminder that sometimes the quietest acts of kindness could set the most important journeys in motion. This story reminds us that even in the most unexpected moments, we can be a source of hope for someone else. Have you ever encountered someone desperately needing help? A Chloe searching for a safe harbor? Or have you been the Keanu, offering a quiet hand to help someone navigate a difficult journey? Let's share these powerful moments of humanity and kindness in the comments. If this story touched your heart, help more people hear these kinds of sincere stories by liking, sharing, and subscribing.